Everybody. Giving it a few minutes while I am waiting for people to come online before I really throw myself into this. This topic. While it's so strange sitting here talking to yourself. Okay, so yeah, let me just wait a bit and see who shows up, if anybody, or I will keep talking to myself for all of you who are coming to watch it in replay. So, yeah, it's just 2:30. So, yeah, I hope you have enjoying your Christmas events and going on. But it's been gorgeous, you know. It's like this is a time of year when I really appreciate living in Florence because many of the big churches has free Christmas concerts, and it's usually some beautiful classical music, and you're in these gorgeous churches that are just absolutely stunning, and there's all kind of yeah, and then every year from early September to early January they have they call it a light festival or something like that. So they have all kind of light installations. So for example, on the Ponte Vecchio, which is the old bridge here, they always project like some kind of like visual light-based artwork, and it's really stunning. So anyway, nobody's here yet, so I am just going to go ahead and start talking. So how do you go about activating your CEO energy? Which is actually not where I was going to start at all. I was going to start with, how do you know you're not in your CEO energy? So this kind of first came to my attention with one of my clients. It's like suddenly one day when we met for a session, I could notice her energy had really changed. And thinking about it afterwards, I realized that she had activated her CEO energy when it hadn't been activated before. Hey, Eglo. Hi, Suzanne. That it hadn't been activated before her CEO energy. And I was just like really struck with the difference of the before and after. You know, all the time we have worked before, it's like I could really see that she had never really stepped into being the CEO of her business. Whereas, you know, this change she went through, it's like suddenly, God, there is a woman who owns her business and drives it forward. And I started thinking about it, you know, what does the CEO energy look like and how important is it? And how do we get it activated, basically? So I'm actually going to start with the opposite of not having the CEO energy. So some of you know that I have a background in codependence counseling, and my framework for all the codependence work I did for for almost 20 years was based on Pierre Melody's work and book, Facing Codependence. And I'm going to go into what the symptoms are, but in my attempt to explain what is codependence really, like one of the ways I often described it as was a child's psychological state of being. So there was a psychological immaturity in the codependence mindset or framework, or whatever. It's like when people when they are codependent, their psyche is immature and they're really in, yeah, like I say, it's like understanding the world and interacting with the world, but mostly the understanding the world as a child would, where it's all about getting approval from outside yourself, which is what children do. And for those of you who know me, having talked about shadow, it's also the fear, like you need people the tribal approval that I've talked about before, but also a child's need for approval, because without the tribes or the parents or adult caregivers' need for approval, you won't still feel safe and secure. So it's like life-threatening not having people approve of you. So with the symptoms of codependence, I'm going to go through them actually, because I want you to see how relevant they are to where you are at. Because if those core symptoms of codependence are active, then you are most likely not in your CEO energy, because the CEO energy is the ultimate adult responsibility energy. So let me go through the codependent symptoms. So at the core of codependence, you have a damaged relationship with yourself, and this shows up as low self-esteem, not knowing who you are, not knowing what you want, difficulties setting boundaries, difficulties knowing and meeting your own needs and wants. And the last one is expressing yourself in moderation, meaning like the codependence has an either or, black or white kind of thinking. It's very extreme. It's like an either or thinking. It's either that or this. Whereas, and which is how a child sees the world, right? It's either this or this. It's like you don't have the middle ground where it comes together, and it's a both and, which is very much part of mature psychological state of being. So these, hi Angela. So this damaged relationship with yourself, of course, spills over into difficulties in having relationship with other people. And how that looks, the secondary set of symptoms is like when it comes to relationship with people, you have manipulation and control, you know, you to others, others to you. It's like the victim state, which I know you're all familiar with, which has to do with feeling powerless, feeling helpless, and then feeling resentful because you believe somebody else has power over you. It's a damaged spirituality where, you know, that can show in different ways, but it's like relevant in this situation is giving your power away to somebody else. As a CEO, the power is all yours, right? This is when you're not in the CEO energy, you realize that something, or you believe that something outside of yourself has more power over you. And hey guys, as you're watching, you know, remember, just keep on asking questions. That's going to help pull more information out of me. And then it's avoiding reality. And that can be addictions and mental or physical sickness can all be ways of avoiding facing reality. We all have different ways of avoiding reality, which is what a child does, you know. It's like lying, you know, telling untruth is a way of avoiding the consequences of your actions. So it's an avoidance mechanism. And then the last one is just having difficulties in romantic sexual relationships. So these are all part of the, at the core, what do you say? It's like your child's psychological state of being that then when you grow up, if you don't mature psychologically, when it comes into your business, this is still how you approach your business. Now, taking all these symptoms that I just talked about is Unbearable Lightness of Being. It's a great movie. Taking that and putting it into business, right? And I'm going to come around and putting it into the shadows and the shadow alchemy also, because this is more what I'm working with these days. It's like the first one is low self-esteem. You know, what is your worth? It's really, really hard to be have a successful business if you believe you don't deserve it. Next part, knowing who you are and knowing what you want. So the CEO is very much about knowing exactly who you are and knowing exactly what you want. in your business. So I see a lot of people, they sort of, kind of, maybe have some idea of what they want to do with the business, what they want to do with their work. But there is a certain vagueness around their wants. It's like almost like I hear a but. I want this, but I want to do this, but. So there's this unspoken but. And as long as you have that unspoken but, you haven't actually taken it's like almost like there's a wishy-washiness around it when you have that but hanging on. I want to build a business, but I want to turn my soul's work into a sacred genius business, but I really would like to make a lot of money on my business, but I really would like to learn energetic precision, but. So it is this but that is coming from the non-CEO, which I'm, for the purpose of this, going to call shadow or codependence of child. You know, it kind of all works, or the immature thing. So what is it that is coming after the but? And oops, I forgot to scroll for comments. Okay, Angela, this is awesome. And for those who don't know, Angela, she had a soul's work reading session, just the first part of the summoning. Yes. So it's definitely a lack of clarity. And it's more than that clarity, because it's energetic too, right? It's like not grabbing your business and your desires and owning it. It's like there's always this distance to it. So continuing, you know, putting it into the, you know, your business in the codependence core symptoms, is like one of them is boundaries, right? It's like boundaries help you keep your energy focused. And what I see so many people, Angela says, the vagueness, in my opinion, is about a lack of alignment and a lack of acceptance of being at the next level, lack of experience, even it's time to step up to the next level. That's part of it. It's also part of it, like as a child, it's like having this, it's like almost waiting for somebody else to take responsibility and telling you what to do and give you permission and tell you you have the, you know, you're worth it. It's like the power is outside yourself to make it happen. So when it comes to boundaries, it's like, you know, I've talked about this before. It's like boundaries are so important, because what I see a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs do is like the energy goes like all over the place. It's all scattered. You know, I sense it in the Facebook post, and I sense it with the offers, and a sense it's like, because many of them can do many things to help all kinds of people with all kinds of problems, meaning the energy is all over the place, right? It is not focused. Now, as a CEO, and this is a little bit like a child's thinking again, it's like, why shouldn't I be all over the place? It's like, I want all the toys. Whereas as a CEO of your business, you come back in and say, okay, this is my business, and I have the responsibility. It's not even about taking responsibility. It's like realizing you have the responsibility for turning this, your soul's work, into a super successful business. You have that responsibility. It doesn't reside outside of you, meaning you have the power. And that means you can't act like a child or a spoiled brat or a rebellious teenager in your business, because that's not going to get you nowhere near success. And for people who have grown up in dysfunctional families, any kind of boundary settings and, you know, structures is going to feel like an attempt at something else trying to control and take your freedom away. It's trying to control you. I'm not saying that this is how it's real life, but for somebody who's grown up in a dysfunctional family, as I said, it's like part of the dysfunctional family is that you don't have free self-expression. You have to fit into what the family deems acceptable, right? So when it comes to growing your business, structure is such an important part of a business. You know, having structures in place, having standard operating procedures. It's like having, you know, things like very clear cut. And it can often feel like you are going to lose your freedom. And I'm totally speaking from personal experience here. So the fourth core symptom is like not knowing and meeting your own needs and wants. So as a CEO of the business, you have the responsibility of taking that vision and turning it into something very concrete and very specific. That means you have to know exactly what you want. It's like you can't be wishy-washy. You can't want something one day and you can't want something else another day, which I'm not talking about you're not upgrading your desires, because part of building a successful business is like up-leveling and up-leveling and up-leveling and up-leveling. But more that can't commit to one goal. It's like your goals, your desires goes with the flow, and there isn't this laser focus, you know. It's like, because you need to, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is my business. This is the work I'm doing. This is the goal I'm aiming for. And this is what needs to be done to get there. So I can't remember if it was Sonica or Lorna, you know, my mentors, who said this sentence. It's like people don't want to hire a child to help them. They want to hire an adult. They don't want to hire a nice girl, a nice boy, because that's still the child's immature psychological state of being, or the shadow who is looking for approval outside. They want something badass, something who has unwavering self-belief in what they're doing. So think about the people you admire and follow and are looking toward. What do they have in common? They have authority, they have unwavering self-belief, they have a really strong presence, and they have power. And this is what is part of your CEO energy, is that you have this unwavering self-belief. And you have absolute certainty of what you can give people. And I know this is a tricky one, right? Because you can't really promise results. And yet you can, because you work with clients over the past. They have shown you exactly what you can accomplish if the client is willing. And it's like something that comes through in your presence, right? This is your CEO energy. It's like what comes out of you is like, are you in charge? Are you the one who says this is the way things are going to be? Or do you, and I'm not saying being rude or being rigid, but your clients need to know that you are in charge, because the CEO of the company is in charge. Even when they are, you know, contacting prospective clients, they are still the ones in charge. So yes, they have to court their clients, you know, it's like talking big companies even. They have to court their clients, and they still have to build relationships, they still have to do the sales, they still have to do the promotion, they still have to offer it. But they never, ever, ever come across as a child, because as a CEO of the company, you know exactly what you're doing. You have the presence, you have the power, you know what you stand for. This is another thing, you know exactly what you stand for. And there's no wishy-washiness around it. It's like, it's a strength of the warrior to stand by your vision no matter what. And you're not changing anything in order to please other people. Because the CEO energy says, this is my vision, and I'm not going to change my vision to please other people. I'm going to follow my truth, which is to take this vision and turn it into a physical reality. So, as in the codependence symptom, you know, like it's like the either or thinking, black or white thinking. When you flip into the CEO energy, you know that there is, how do you say that without it sounded negative? It's like the both and. It's not you or them. It's not winners or losers. It's like a true CEO energy elevates everybody, empowers everybody. It's always a both and. So we can both be winners in this. So Stephen Covey, who wrote the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, he brought to fame the concept of win-win. And sometimes it's even win-win-win when it's, you know, when it's you and the other person and the customers. But it's definitely a win-win. There are no losers in this. So the CEO energy is a part that also takes responsibility for how can we lift everybody up? How can everybody win in this part? Because the whole idea, if there's losers, this is a child's thinking, right? The either or thinking. The manipulation and control is how, you know, this is like the people pleasing part and whatnot, and you should, and manipulating people. And I really have a thing about so much of marketing is so manipulative. Now, it doesn't mean that talking about people's pain and the promise you can, you know, how you can help them with the pain, that doesn't have to be manipulative. It is when you know, you put up a false scarcity, or, you know, like you know, build on the fears, like try to scare them into missing out on. But it's also, what is the energy you put into it? A child, often, you know, a child growing up in dysfunctional, because this is what most of us have done. As a child, you learn that you need to manipulate people, especially your parents, the adults, in order to get what you want. Children are great manipulators, right? They will do anything to manipulate you to give them what they want. And it can be temper tantrums, or, you know, the hanging face, oh, poor me, or crying, or whatever. Which I'm reminded of, like a student in my son's school. She was always, she burst so easily into tears, like she was so fragile. But she said to my son one day, it's like, if I cry, you know, the teacher's always going to take my side. All I have to do is cry. Now, she wasn't consciously manipulated. She had just learned that this was a way to get her way and protect herself. So this is what she did. As the CEO, you do not need to manipulate. When you are safe and secure in the value of what you provide, you speak with absolute authority, and you speak the truth without flipping over into manipulation, thinking about how it's going to be received. And I don't mean being rude or offensive or whatever, but speaking the straight truth without padding it in cotton so it's more palatable to your receiver. There is this, and I would say that this is also your responsibility to speak the full truth, where because it's the truth you speak that is gonna sell. So truth has a much higher vibration than manipulation and being nice and looking for approval, because if you haven't activated your CEO energy, you're coming from a place of codependence, or we can call it shadow, where you are looking for approval from your clients, and because you need their approval so that they're going to want to buy from you. Because if they don't approve from you, if they don't approve of you, they're not going to buy from you. That means you are not going to make money in your business. And I'm going to flip this around, because as a CEO, there is just the honest, truthful, authentic presentation of what you know to be truth. Now, there's ways of speaking about things, that has more impact than others, and there's no one formula, because it's also just what is your true self-expression, right? So any way of changing what you're saying to gain more approval is all manipulation. So clients, especially for those of you who are watching this, you're here because you ultimately believe in the same things I believe in. It's like your clients, they need to hear the truth and nothing but the truth, because they are done with the lie, they are done with the manipulation. Hi, Alexandra. They are done with all the manipulation that you might have been doing, but also that has been done to you. And it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth, right? It's like, this is not why you're here. So part of the CEO energy entails speaking with absolute authority, because you know what you can do, you know what it is worth. It's not based on any false sense of modesty, right? CEOs, if you think about the CEOs of big companies, or let's just say any CEO or somebody who has built a really big or a really, really successful business, they don't have false modesty. This is like, the adults saying children, it's like, don't brag, right? Don't brag. But speaking your truth of what you're capable of and who you are, that's not the same as bragging. It is speaking the truth of who you are and what you can accomplish. So, for example, when I say that I can, summon your soul's work so that it lands in your bone, I can activate it, and then I can download a specific, your business structure for your sacred genius business that is built around the soul's work. It's not bragging, because this is what I'm doing. But, and just like how it says people spend 10 years of searching and thousands of dollars, blah, blah, blah. It's like, before I stepped into my CEO role, I would have felt this is bragging, and we don't brag, right? You're not supposed to brag about what you can do, but it's presenting facts about the transformation you offer your clients. It is necessary for them to have the straight out facts, not manipulative, not with any false modesty, because somebody who is, doing this false modesty is basically saying, well, I don't take responsibility for what I'm doing. I would rather play nice and have you approve of me by being a nice person, rather than because I'm a badass people transformer or life transformer. So there is a reason why people talk about badass or kick ass, coaches or healers on whatever, because what the world entails is like somebody who is not holding back who they are in order to please somebody. They are out there and say, hey, you're paying me to do this job and I'm going to kick your ass until you get there. It's like, this is what we want. Yeah, Dunya is saying, I think we need new models for CEOs. Current ones in the world are nowhere aligned with my lover. Yes, we do. Oh, hi, Donna. You're here too. Hi. Yes, definitely new CEOs and world leaders, whatever. I'm not going in there. So another part is like, I'm powerless. So the whole victim, blaming somebody else, waiting for somebody else to make things happen for you. So a child doesn't have the ability to take their dreams and make them come true. They just don't have the power, they don't have the psychological maturity. And again, growing up in a dysfunctional family, we carry that forward into our adult lives. And this is self-sabotage, actually, for lack of better words. So the CEO energy, rather than waiting for something to happen and reacting to that, you don't just act, you become proactive. And to me, there is a subtle but important difference between acting and being proactive, being active, taking actions and being proactive. Obviously, we all know the reaction, this is not what we done. So action is, active. The reacting is like passive, you're in waiting mode, you're waiting for somebody to give you permission, you're waiting for somebody to approve of your business idea, you are waiting for your clients to come to you. It's like very, very passive. And it's easy to fall into this trap when you believe the power to create a successful business is outside of you, even just partially. So when you, on the other hand, step into the CEO energy, it's like that comes with the absolute embracing of truth that you are the sole creator of your reality. And if you want to have more clients, then that's what you create. If you want to increase the price of your offer, then that's what you create. If you want more success, however that looks to you, you are the one who creates it. Nothing and no one has power outside of you, and nothing and no one has the power to make you succeed in your business except you. And this is a big part of the CEO energy. So I'm all for taking responsibility for your life. It's like whatever that means. And I've been doing it for years. And when I specifically started tuning into the CEO energy, which means specifically taking responsibility for my business and where I wanted it to go, I could see when I did that, I was looking, like playing around with the ideas. Yeah, even if I've taken full responsibility for my life, I had not yet stepped in as the CEO of my energy. That is a very specific state of being where you kind of, I don't know, the best way to describe is maybe raise your authority to the max. So even if I had taken full responsibility for my life and certainly for growing my business, I had not yet stepped into the CEO energy, because there was still part of me that was waiting for something outside of me. So this is where I want to bring it back to what I wrote in my little graphic that I use for informing that this was going to happen, is that most business owners, especially in the coaching and healing world, are kind of in an employee mindset in their own business. So there's a great book on the market that's called The E-Myth. And what's his name? Michael Gerber? I don't know how to pronounce it. Gerber, I think is his last name. It's called The E-Myth. And the E stands for entrepreneurial myth. And most people, they want to build their business around something they are capable of doing. So if I'm capable of fixing people's plumbing, people's pipes, I set up business as a plumber. If I'm capable of creating great meals, I'll set up business as a restaurant, for example. If I'm capable of healing people, I will set up business as a healer. So, and I did. So it's like you have a technical skill. So your gifts and your genius is often sort of in the category of a technical skill, like something you can do that provide a specific result. Now, if you think about bigger businesses, not just when you're the own person in your own business, but if you think about bigger businesses, right? It's like technicians, and I mean that to cover anybody with a specific skill set hired to do a specific job in a bigger company structure, is like they are the employees. Then in a bigger business, you also have the manager, which are typically the project managers and in care of administration. And then at the top, you have the CEO, who is the one who holds the vision for bringing the vision of what this company can become, how successful this business can become. It's like hold that vision and has accepted and embraced the responsibility for doing whatever it takes to bring that vision come true. So the CEO is also, it stands for Chief Executive Officer. So it's both like the ruler, the sovereign, it's like the queen at the top of the pile, so in a way your business is the country you rule, right? It is also the executive, the one who takes action, the one who decides what actions everybody else needs to take. So the actions are determined out of the vision, and it's about making sure those actions get taken. So when you come into business and you start building around, your technical skills, because this is really what your soul's work is, again, it's like a technical skills, and it is technical in the way that you provide a specific results for people. And this is still most people's mindset when they start building a business. They still build the business from the mindset of, I'm a technician. I have this very specific skills. So there is, and it's often just, how can I do more of my technique? How can I serve more people? which is great. You know, this is really what a business is about. But then when you step into the CEO role, it's like, okay, so yes, I want to serve more people with this. And how do I do that? Where do I want to go with the business? What's the ultimate vision I have for my business? And it's like kind of, you know, I'm doing this for a reason, right? It's like the CEO stands above the business and looks down on it, you know, have the bird's eye view, whereas the technician is from the bottom of the business looking up. And it's like if you're standing at the bottom and looking up, it's like your sight is limited of what your business could become. And your sight is limited to as to what action needs to be taken, you know, how to plan, organize, you know, bring this vision into fruition, because you're looking, you know, up instead of looking down and seeing the whole spread of this is the business, this is a map of the land, this is a map of my kingdom. Because as the CEO, you are the king or the queen of your business. So with that employee, it's like when you come in as a technician of your business, right? You also come in with, you're waiting for somebody to give you the orders, you're waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. And that's why this is the mindset that most people bring to their business coaches and to the marketing coaches and to learning, you know, signing up for programs or whatever. It's like, I need somebody to tell me what to do, which is the CEO, right? It's like somebody has power outside of me to make me help succeed in my business. And while it's really important to learn skills, I totally believe in education when it comes to marketing and business. It is, again, if you come to building your business into a super successful business around your soul's work, coming at it as an employee rather than the CEO is always going to hold you back. So, and the top-down view also sees the business in context with the market and other businesses. Yeah, you don't live in a vacuum. That doesn't mean that you have to, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but you don't live in a vacuum, right? And your job is still to speak your truth and your, you know, from your absolute authority with your full power. So authority and power sells. Your clients are attracted to authority and power, which are symptoms or characteristics of the CEO energy. And so the employee is also, you know, I said it's like the employee is waiting for orders and instructions and being told how to do that and where to go and what to do. And in that role, there is a certain comfort, right? Because it's easy. It is easy, just follow along with somebody else. Whereas as the CEO, suddenly you are responsible for deciding what risk needs to be taken. And you are the one who is the driving force for expansion and how that expansion looks, which is going to be uncomfortable as hell because it's outside your comfort zone. You're going to be asked to step into a presence and power and actions that as a technician in your own company you would never do, right? It's like the employee doesn't take the same actions and doesn't take the same decisions as a CEO would take. So expanding your business means you have to break outside your comfort zone. And this is one of the reasons why I don't really believe in going with the flow, because as a technician, when you come into your company with that as an employee, it's like you can imagine where you're going with the flow is going to take you. Now, if you activate your CEO energy and step into the CEO, it's like you're going with the flow is going to look very, very, very different. Because as an employee, you're going with the flow is about getting the job done. As a CEO, you're going with the flow is going to be, how can I reach my business goals? How can I create a super successful business? Let's see what else I was going to say here. And yes, if you're really going to step in there, and you really actually want to turn your soul's work into a successful business, you can keep on having a practice. If you just want to have a practice, then that's fine. You can stay in the technician energy. If you want to build a super successful business, the CEO energy needs to be activated in you. And that means you'll be asked to have unwavering self-belief in spite of your doubts, in spite of your shadows, in spite of your low self-esteem issues, in spite of, whatever. It's like your self-belief needs to be unwavering and override all your shadow thoughts. And you need to, hold on, here's that. Thank you, Magdalena. I was actually at one point thinking about you when I was talking about some of these things here. And it's like this whole level of responsibility, again, it's like the responsibility of the technician, the employee, is serving your clients one by one by one by one and make sure that they get what they have paid for. Now, the responsibility of a CEO is much bigger and wider ranging, because a CEO is not just looking for results, but how can you scale the business? How can you evolve the business so it becomes the biggest and fullest expression of your soul's work? And there's also the question of authority. So the level of authority that an employee covers is very different than the level of authority a CEO covers. Now, which one do you think is going to help you create a successful business? It's very obviously the CEO energy, right? Yeah. So what I sense then when I activated my CEO energy, even if I had taken full responsibility for my life before, it's like the CEO was, it's like I said, it's like turn the volume up on my authority. And it's the oddest experience. I mean, it was really, really strange because I hadn't ever experienced that before. And it's like suddenly, it was like almost like the step, from being an employee at the bottom, somebody hired by the CEO, I step up here and say, wow, this is it. And, it's like my view and my perspective of my business changed. And suddenly, as the CEO of my company, it's like, it's not just here now making sales here now. It's like, oh my God, it's like, this is the big picture. Where do I want to go with that? And even if I don't know the details, it's like also a mindset shift, right? It's like an employee technician doesn't think the same way about the business as a CEO does. So yes, if you're the only one in your business, you're going to have to, play all the role, the employee, the manager, and the CEO. But when you just stay in the employee role, you're not going to be able to grow a successful business. And sometimes you need to delegate. You might need to hire an online business manager or somebody to do the admin stuff. Virtual assistants are great. Let me see what else. So CEO, as a CEO, it's like even if you're just a one-person business, you are still a business. And that means like any other business, you have human resources, you have customer care, you have the product or your service you offer, you have marketing and sales, and you have admin. And when you're just the technician that serves the clients, like all these other parts of the business, they are ignored. Or at least they don't receive much, I should say tender loving care is what I want to say, but focus and attention and energy. And yet in any business, they are, and I'm meaning business as different from a practice, it is necessary that all these other parts of the business, even if it's still only one person, is that they are being given the same tender, loving care as you give to your clients, because they are just as important in growing a business. And even if that means you have to do all of them, right? So questions. Nothing is coming through at the moment here. So any questions? Go ahead and ask. There's one more difference that comes through here, is that as an employee, it's about, a technician is about serving your clients, and then you're kind of off. So even if you're still doing, marketing post and Facebook post or whatever, there is a certain sense that the job is accomplished. Or if you get clients and, sign them on, the job is accomplished. But as a CEO, it is like the energy is on all the time in a different way. And I don't mean in an exhausting way. Oh, great, Debs. You say I joined late. Did you talk about how you activated your CEO energy? That's right, I haven't talked about that yet. So as a CEO, there is it's like almost like a different part of your energy field gets activated, or we can call it energy codes. So we all have the CEO energy codes in us, right? Which is why we can do shadow alchemy, and which is why we can heal from a child immature psychology to adult mature psychology, which is really what it's about. And why we can step from a feeling of feeling powerless to a sense of being completely in charge and power over our own life. So for me, it's easiest to understand if we think about it in terms of codes. So we all have the CEO energy codes lying inside of us, and we can activate them. So Debs, the way I did it was through the action or the method of shadow alchemy. But really, what it was a decision that I was going to step up to being the CEO of my company. And it has to start with a decision that that's what you want to do. And then you just keep redeciding and actually stepping up into that energy, to prevent those, to really activate these codes and have them activated as your default state of being, rather than having them go to sleep again, become dormant. So it's really coming out of what do you want? What do you want for your business? And if you want to just have a practice and work as a technician and that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with this. Like many healers and coaches do that, and it works. It totally works. You can make a lot of money that way. Now, if you're here taking your soul's work, wanting to expand it into the fullest expression, you have to activate those dormant CEO codes. And how to say that? It's like, it's definitely the decision, and it's also like flipping the switch on, like the decision you make like changes your energy. So it's not just a mental, I want to do that. I mean, it has to, the decision to step into your CEO energy has to come from such a deep level that it actually activates the codes and changes who you are in the world. It changes your energy field. And for me also, Debs, it was about first realizing I didn't have my CEO energy activated. And that was like, I remember just like, whoa, I hadn't realized, you know, I thought it was all in there taking responsibility for my business or whatever. And I was like, I was rather stunned realizing that I had not activated my CEO energy. And then make the decision to do it, and then step up into more authority and this unwavering self-belief, because this was where I was faltering, was this authority and unwavering self-belief. It was like I didn't know that I couldn't do it, but I hadn't put that belief in myself and what I could do with my clients and how I could help them, put it at the forefront and say, this is how I change people's lives, and this is how I change the world. And I'm going to take full responsibility for doing as much of that as I can in a lifetime. And really reaching as many people. It had been a thought, certainly, but putting it front and center of my business, it's like an inner twist. You know, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's definitely, one, the realization I wasn't already doing it. Two, deciding that I was going to do it, you know, and just stepping into it, that I was no longer willing to hold myself back, play small, because I would not be satisfied with that. It's like, one of my desires and one of my standards is that I will take my soul's work to its fullest expression as a sacred genius business. I'm here to change the world. I'm not here to change one or two people's lives. And if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to play the big game, you know, because life is here, it's a game, whatever, I had to step up. I had to step up and realize that if it's going to go there, I have to take my business a whole lot more serious than I had ever done it before. And maybe this is part of the answer also, Debs, is that while I had been taking my work with my clients serious and taking my business serious, in some ways, I hadn't taken it all the way serious. I love that statement, says Donna. I have no idea what statement that is, but I'm glad you like it. So there is this. I also believe, Debs, you know, going back to that, is that there are some, you know, especially among spiritual entrepreneurs, there is maybe some shame around how much we are dedicated to doing our soul's work and growing it into a successful business. I mean, it's fine that we want to do our soul's work. This is what we do as spiritual entrepreneurs. But wanting to take it into a super successful business now that can lean over towards what sounds materialism and unspiritual. And so I think that, you know, going for myself, there has certainly been shame about how committed I am to my business as a business, because, you know, it's not very spiritual. Somebody has a comment here. Hold on. yeah, bringing it to its fullest expression. Yeah, this is what I want to do. And that means, building a business, because the business is one of the best ways to really, it's like a model, a structure for how easiest and most effectively impact the lives of as many people as possible in the shortest time possible. This is what a business is about, the whole business idea. So yes, a business is about money, but really it's about how to reach people, the most people in the shortest time possible, and have the strongest impact for the most people in the shortest time possible. This is really what a business is about. And so to me, and this was just like a connection I made the other day, I shouldn't say the other day, I've known this for a while, but it really came front and center in my life, that taking your soul's work and blowing it up to the fullest expressions, right? Because this is how you change the most life. That is a spiritual journey, par none. Because for you to really take your soul's work that big, you'll have to do enormous amounts of work on yourself. And you have to be really, really, really dedicated to, like standing in your full truth. And one of my principles in life is that God is the ultimate source. And I mean God, I mean the creator of it all, right? So the creator is the ultimate source of truth and the ultimate source of love. Now, in our Christian teaching and our, historical shadow world, where everybody's in shadow, everybody is codependent, it's like love has been separated from truth. So the creator as God and love is still the same, but the truth has fallen out of the equation. But if you look at it, like the creator is the ultimate source of truth, right? So the more truth you bring into your world, meaning both inside of you and outside of you, which is your soul's work and your sacred genius business, is about bringing more truth into your world. And by bringing more truth into the world, you bring more love into the world, and you bring more God into the world. So in that way, your soul's work, and this is what the CEO energy is, switching from being the technician, the employee technician, into the CEO energy is a spiritual up-leveling, because as a technician, this is what I can do, and there's truth in that. Stepping up to the CEO energy means that you have to inhabit and live and speak and be your truth with much more authority and much more of your true power. Because as long as you're a technician employee, you can still hold back. You can still play small. You don't have to own all your power. You don't have to own all your authority, and you can still do great with a practice. CEO of your business, you got to scale all that up. And that means stepping more into who you truly are as a powerful spiritual being in a human body. And that is a spiritual up level. It's a spiritual up level. So your spiritual path, think of it like the true path. True path, but put it together so it becomes true path. Is your unique spiritual journey. And that's not meditation, whatever. It's like becoming the fullest, most powerful truth of who you are. And that comes out when you turn your soul's work into a sacred genius business, because this is what it is. It's a spiritual up level. Okay, so I've been talking for more than an hour here. So I think I'm gonna end this. If anybody has any questions, you can ask them. And also, of course, if you come into the replay, you can ask them and I will come in and answer them. And I want to say also that I'm launching now the Forge. I have some technical problems with the links, but the sales page is done. The Forge is a mastermind bootcamp, which is about taking your soul's work and creating your sacred genius business and launching it. And it doesn't matter if you already have a business or if you don't have a business yet. It doesn't matter. It's about totally precisely taking the energetic signature of your soul's work and putting it into the precise container and structure and marketing and messaging that is going to take that, help you take your sacred genius business to its fullest expression. That's what we're after. Okay, so that's it. I will have the link up hopefully later today. But otherwise, yeah, I'll let you know when the next Facebook Live is coming up.